this is Miss Andrea with Not Another Homeschool Blog. And today's homeschool question is as follows. Dear Miss Andrea, what ethnocentric homeschool curriculum do you recommend? So let's talk about it. I've never used an ethnocentric homeschool curriculum. Surprise, surprise, considering that I would be what you would consider to be ethnocentric. But I focus on a whole world curriculum that is all inclusive in nature, meaning I teach history in the order that it happened, and I try not to leave anything out. So, ethnocentric things happen. We talk about things in my curriculum that I am currently writing. If you're interested, leave a note and say I'm interested. I'm going to be starting an email list so people know when my curriculums are released. I need to edit American history. I need to edit ancient history, and I'm currently working on post-classical history, which covers the years 500 AD to 1450 AD. And there's a lot of fun ethnocentric stuff in these last 2 years. So I teach history in the order it happened, and I include as many things that affect our people as I can find. I try to only include things that I can vet, and we all know how hard that is, but I get as much as possible as I can in there. For people who are interested, particularly in an ethnocentric curriculum, I do have things that you can do, and I searched. There's not a true ethnocentric curriculum out there, but there are ethnocentric sources. There's a website called blackpast.org, and that has a great deal of Black historical timelines and things that you can use as a springboard to get started doing research. Because frankly, I think history is more interesting if you research it anyway. So if you're going to teach your children ethnocentric history and it's not out there already gathered in a book and you have to research it, you might as well teach the kids to do research while you're at it, okay? There's a homeschool group that does a lot of ethnocentric work. They are National Black Homeschool Educators, NBHE.net. And they have a link that has a Black History PDF with a lot of uploads. So I'll make sure that that link is included in this video. The BBC, the British Broadcasting site, has Story of Africa, and a great deal of African-based history is in there. And then what I want you to do is to look at Black authors and playwrights. That is pretty much how I integrated ethnocentric things into the homeschool curriculum back when I was teaching my own children, and even now as I'm running a homeschool program and I'm actively writing a whole world curriculum. Because I understand that in schools we're taught Eurocentric history, and in a lot of Black homes, so we're trying to balance that by teaching an ethnocentric history. But neither of these things happen in a bubble. There's a timeline that goes through things. And so something's happening here in Africa, something happens here in Egypt, something happens here in Europe. And so when they follow that timeline, they see that something begot something, and not that, a bad thing happened because people just were being shady. So I like teaching history in order and not leaving things out, because it humanizes the whole experience, and it doesn't become good guys and bad guys. It becomes, there was a drought. These people were attacked. There was a flood here. These people shifted down. Those people shifted that way. And we see how natural migration patterns actually affected things that went on in history. And so as I was saying, when I was teaching my own personal children history, we just used a regular history textbook. But I went to the table of contents and I got my little pencil and I wrote, I got a Black history timeline, and I wrote in things that happened during times that were left out from the Eurocentric history. So, for example, when we were teaching, when we were glazing through, just skipping through slavery real fast, I stopped and we talked about Harriet Tubman and things like that, right? When we got to the Jim Crow era, I paused and I pulled out biographies and we read specific biographies. I made my children, when they were in high school, read Roots. When we got to the 1970s, I made my daughter read the play For Colored Women Who Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Was Enough, because I integrated language arts seamlessly with history. It caused them to research, look for ethnic things that happen along this European timeline, and also to delve into the language and the history at the same time, because often in our world, our literature is spurred by things that are happening in history. A lot of literature of our time is a call, a response on what's going on historically, right? When we get to the Harlem Renaissance, do you know how many novels and plays there are? We stopped and we read those. So while I can't recommend a pre-existing Afrocentric curriculum at all for you, I highly recommend that you teach your students to research for Black history and to look for those things in Black history that are just like glazed on or just quickly mentioned in history books, and go deep and dig in on those topics. What happened at Black Wall Street, the Black riots in Florida, the year that the Spanish flu broke out. There was also 100 years ago, there were also race riots that year. We just don't skip over the racial things where the textbooks just say, oh yeah, and a thing happened. We go, what happened? And we go and research it. And I think that's a really good way to have the kids understand that just because they don't mention it doesn't mean that it's not our history. And it teaches your kids research skills that they're going to use later. It teaches your kids writing skills that they're going to use later. And using novels and plays and things like that integrates language arts into your history. And so you're getting a 2 for 1. I didn't mean for this to be a commercial. But this is exactly the type of history program I am writing. It is not ethnocentric per se. It is a whole world history, and it includes everything that I could find and have research on, archaeological, scientific, personal stories, novels, plays, all of that is integrated into the history. So you have everything that happened in Europe, everything that happened in the Americas, because things were happening in the Americas even during ancient history times. Everything that happened in Africa that wasn't burned, everywhere. We cover everything in order. So that'll be ready in due time. I want to say this time next year, I might have 2 or 3 history books ready to go. But in the meantime, research. I'll leave links below. Until next time.